Hi, we're Option Conservation, and this is the Shoot Room Sessions. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
Welcome back to the Shoot Room, although you spend a lot of time sat over there, right over there.
It's true. I've always been in the shoot room.
December 23 was your last episode.
Was it? That was, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What's changed since then?
Well, I'm still part of the marketing team. I can't remember when, because we didn't film in December. So I think we filmed in November.
Yeah, the autumn or something, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I had just started as like full time when we filmed. So I'm still in that role, engagement specialist, part of the marketing team. And I think the most that's changed is kind of the company. Like I feel like my role has been like supporting the marketing initiatives, but I think those projects have changed dramatically, not necessarily my role.
How has the team changed in the time you've been here?
We've grown, which has been very exciting. And I think the kind of the way that we're wanting things to go in the next couple of years has changed significantly since I started. So that's been really cool to witness and be part of.
Nice. So you were deported.
I know you're going to make this joke, and I just want to say for the record, if anybody from the government is watching, I did not get deported.
What happened?
I did leave before getting deported.
Which meant you got to spend Christmas at home with your family.
Yes.
How long it had been since you'd been back?
2 years. 2 years was the last time I had been back, but that was my first Christmas in 5 years in Canada.
Wow. And some of the footage, the snow was magical.
Yeah, that was very special, and something that I had promised my partner Philip was going to happen, which I had no reason to promise him that because the last couple Christmases have been very green, we'll just say. So this was very lucky and very picturesque in winter wonderland.
So going back and reflecting, how are both the environment and marketing different in both parts of your world? How are they different in Canada and the UK?
It's a good question. I think Canada's very big, so I'll just start by saying that, like, some of the things I'll say, obviously there's a lot of different opinions. And I think it really depends on where you are in Canada. So I'm from Ontario, which is where we have the government, like main offices, and the like big city like Toronto. So a lot of the urban life is in Ontario, and a lot of the younger generations are in Ontario. So I think the perception of the environment is similar to what you have here. You have people that are very positive about protecting the environment and wanting to prioritize sustainability and restoration, but then you have people that are from other provinces that maybe rely on fossil fuels, that are more pro-economy and less prioritizing the environment. So I think it is similar to the UK in that sense. But I think one difference with Canada is that we have so much land that's untouched, and we're not as densely populated. So a lot of times with marketing, the environment and the environmental issues, I think it's seen as a global or like it's a problem over there. We've got lots of water, we've got lots of trees. Not until recently, I don't think people have really seen it as an issue in Canada until we've started getting wildfires and like no snow at Christmas. And so it's become more obvious in recent years, I think, if that makes sense.
Is the concept of natural capital in people's consciousness in Canada?
I didn't know what natural capital was before starting with OC, and maybe that's just my...
But you were interested in environmental issues.
Yeah. So I think carbon credits was certainly something I had experience with. And like I had bought carbon credits for offsetting flights and things like that. Like that was something people would talk about. But the term natural capital I hadn't heard. And especially like the higher end natural capital, I don't think I understood that. I thought it was something that people would do in South America and Africa and places like that. And this idea of like luxury carbon credits was not something I'd ever really considered.
And in terms of the marketing, the brand type of stuff, if you were overseeing the OC Canada brand, how would we need to adapt what we do or change it, if at all, for it to work for a Canadian audience?
I think that's a really interesting question, because I think our brand would fit really well in Canada, like the adventure, the impact. Like a lot of Canadians, I think, resonate with that aspect of our brand, and like the scaling of conservation would be something that I think a lot of people could.
We'd have to put a few more zeros on the size of the sites.
Yeah.
Intern to very successful key member of the team. 3 chapters of that internship program. So you were in our first cohort that came in. How have you seen the process and the roles of interns change at OC?
So yeah, when I started, we were talking about this morning, there was 100 applicants, which when I applied, I was like, that's a lot of applicants. I can't believe I got a spot. And then last year it was 500, and this year it was almost 2,000. And honestly, and Elle keeps rejecting all the marketing people, so I definitely wouldn't have gotten in.
I think you're like one of 1,000 that Elle's looked
Which
at.
is crazy to me. I don't understand like all these people with tons of more qualifications than I have. But I think the process with Andrew starting has definitely it's become more structured in a really good way. I think it's he's so good at recruitment and seeing people and understanding experiences that young professionals or people looking to change their careers might need from a recruitment process. And so I really like how we've designed the intern process specifically around kind of what can we give a candidate, what kind of experience can we give them. So we've always done
everywhere else is extractive, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere else is what's the most we can get out of a person when they walk through the door, and we don't care what their experiences are, what they feel like. And that just builds from me and Andrew having such bad experiences when we were first applying for jobs. We wanted to flip that on its head.
Well, yeah, and even me applying for jobs, like there are people that just would never get back to me. And this year we did something different where because there was a little bit of a time period before people would hear back, we sent out an email with, here's some information for you to read that might be helpful for the job that you're applying for. Please, keep in contact with us. We're releasing field notes in the next week. Like, stay connected while we go through the process. And so I think thinking about how we can give a more tailored experience to interns and people young in their career is so positive and something that I've never experienced before joining OC. So I love that, and I love to be a part of it. Really enjoy that part of my job.
What does it take to succeed here?
I think it comes back to passion. I think for me, anyways, when I think about it, that's kind of the center of everything. Because if you have the passion, it'll shine through in your application. And if you hold on to that passion, you'll be able to work really hard. If you hold on to that, this is my mindset and I'm working towards this, I'm working towards saving the world, and doing something massively positive, that will help guide you in the tough times and the times where you don't really know how to do something. If you hold on to that goal and that passion, I think that's what it takes to succeed, because we can teach a lot of skills. I know Andrew says that all the time, that we're looking for people that have qualities that will help them succeed, not necessarily qualifications or like 5 years experience. It's about them as a person and how can they learn and how can they develop and help give us help deliver a positive impact.
You have a ridiculous work ethic and work very, very hard. Where does that like work capacity and engine come from, do you think?
I don't know. I think that's an interesting question. I think I see everybody else and I'm like, I don't know how they have such a big work ethic.
I think that's why it works as a culture, right?
Yeah.
Because there is literally, people might not believe this, but everyone in the team knows everyone else works really hard. If someone didn't, the whole team would be like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And because everyone's so open and involved, which is unusual for a remote team.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like we're a remote team.
It doesn't. And I think you're really right that you see everybody else taking on all these projects and you see everybody else working really hard to stay like steadfast in that mission, that it makes you want to work hard. And I think my work ethic, not saying I didn't have a strong work ethic before, but I just think I'm so much more passionate about this mission than other things I've done, that it's just easier to have like a bigger work ethic.
Yeah, hard work at something you don't love is stress.
Yeah.
Hard work at something you do love is passion.
Well, yeah.
And I think so I have the privilege of doing key reviews with the directors and heads of, and without doubt, they all come in going, oh, I need to outwork so-and-so, and so-and-so works for it. But they're all pointing at each other going,
Yeah.
it's like that Spider-Man meme. They're like, you're great, you're great. No, you're great. Everyone's great. It's just really, really fun. What's an average day like? Is there an average day at OC?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think there's certainly not an average day for the marketing team. But I think what I really like about the marketing team, and now that we have Penny, we're kind of growing and it feels like we're like this bigger team now. And I love that we've got a meeting where we set out the week together. We talk about what's going out, what content is needed, what's the plan for this week, what's the plan for the month. We all have our own skills and jobs, and we're all working towards delivering amazing content. And so I think an average day is all of us trying to work together to put things out.
The marketing team is a content machine.
Yeah.
So we were working with essentially a venture capital group a year ago, and their director of marketing came and spent some time with us all and proceeded to go back, and there was you, Josh, Ellen, essentially me doing some content stuff as well at the time. And he went back and took the head off his 20-person team about how we were producing more than them.
Yeah.
How do we produce the volume of stuff that we do?
That's a good question. And also just to say, you still produce content. Like, you're producing all sorts of written work. So you're still part of the marketing team in my eyes.
Team.
Yeah. I think...
Give people a flavour of that. So written article every week, podcast,
Yeah.
video shorts, social media stuff,
Yeah.
Newsletter for the team, site-based newsletters.
Yeah.
Huge volume, right?
Yeah. We do Instagram every day. Try to. I think going forward, we'll be posting on LinkedIn every day. And an article posting every week. Field notes every month. We do our board reporting every week.
It was hundreds of thousands of words, wasn't there, last year? You worked them all out. It was
it was crazy. Yeah, it was almost 100,000 words. Yeah.
How do we make sure that? How do we get the volume? How do we keep the creativity going? What's the secret sauce?
I think the amazing content that we all produce, like Penny's going to be doing like all these shorts for the podcast, and that then to me sparks creativity on my end, and what can we write about? And then when you write something, what can we post about? And so I think it goes back to all of us working together and having that team mindset. But to produce the amount of content we do, I think it probably just comes back to that passion. We all just love it so much, and we all prioritize it. And I mean, Elle pushes us really hard as well. So
yeah,
in a good way.
She does. Rumor has it that the origin of the podcast was your idea. What's your version of this story, Abby?
Yeah, I think so I used to work for YouTube, a YouTube channel, not YouTube. And they started a podcast that was not as successful as this one. And I looked at it and I thought it'd be so fun to get to work on that. And I was just a freelance researcher for them, so I was not involved in all their other stuff. And so then when I applied for the job here, the internship, and Elle asked me what would be, a dream for you, that popped into my head. I was like, oh, a podcast. I didn't get to do that at my last job, and it looked so fun. And then, I guess it was a few months later that Monicot was finalized, and you're talking about what to do with the shoot room. So the shoot room sessions was not my idea. It
sounds like it was
about having a podcast, and then again back to this team. Though everybody's got different creative ideas, and they all come together to create one awesome thing.
So, how do you feel now? It's at this point from idea to, sponsored, fully produced, like incredible podcast.
I love it. I think I'm so excited that Penny's here, because I think when Elle, Josh, and I were doing it, it was very much like, this is so fun and we just want to elevate it. And now Penny's incredible and she is going to do so much with it. So I'm really excited for 2025. But I think one of the things that I love the most is the stories that we've heard and the people we've met. Like some of the episodes, I remember just like seeing these incredible people talk about how they got where they were. And a lot of it's serendipitous and working really hard. And it's just really inspiring to hear those stories. And it really fills me with hope, because, you get to be in this little bubble where you're seeing all these people working really hard to save the world and do something positive. So I just love it.
It's sitting in this chair is an absolute privilege because you get to listen to these amazing people.
So I was sitting in that chair over there.
So you just get to watch.
That's what I mean. I love it. It's so fun.
I love the generosity of it from
Yeah.
everybody. The person who's coming being really generous with their time and their stories and they're sharing it. The fact that we can give people great audio and visual content that they can use to amplify their story and their businesses. And also the amount of people that we've had a run of so many people who talk about a teacher, a family member who connected with the environment. And I'll often say, have you told them? And they'll go away and reconnect with that person and say, thank you for helping in the journey. Excuse me. I think that, generosity spirit that comes through it. And I think it makes, we always talk about wanting to scale the sector. Well, this is what we're in a position to do.
Yeah.
And we were so fortunate. We had Josh with the technical capabilities of recording the podcast, and we had the camera equipment already for what we were doing. So it was a natural evolution of form. And now with Knight Frank and James's sponsorship, thank you. Huge shout out to Knight Frank and Penny Round. We can take that to the next level. And the guests for this year are just astonishing, the people that we've got coming in, and it will help grow the sector even further and inspire the next round of talent to come in. And that'll be a big part of the reason why Andrew's committed to 5,000 intern applicants in 2020.
But I think that that's another incredible piece, is that when I joined as an intern, we didn't have the podcast.
We didn't have a website, did we?
We did have a website, but like others, I did think it was a cult and like a little bit like...
Do you not think it's a cult now?
Well, I do, but in a different way. I'm glad I'm in it in this way now. But I think we have so much content, and the podcast is such a great way for people to get to know OC in such an authentic and easy way.
So you were sat with me yesterday when I met the new head of food at Oxygen House, and we'd been talking for a while, and he was like, I've listened to all the podcasts. And he was like, oh. It always kind of stops me in my tracks because it's amazing, and thank you for everyone that listens. But if you assume anyone listens, you become a sociopath. So it never occurs to me that anyone will listen. I'll start telling a story and someone will be like, yeah, I remember hearing that on the podcast, which is just humbling, really, in terms of that side of it. The joining a cult thing. So that's Elle's lovely, playful turn of phrase that we're a cult. People can be quite cynical when they see businesses and what's portrayed externally. What does it really feel like working here and with the people here?
It feels amazing. I think it's so exciting. Everybody's so like lovely to each other. Like the energy you get in a room when we were all here for Q0. It's just exciting all the time to be together. And I think as a remote team, it's so special to get together as a group in person. But then even on a Teams call, like I was just on one 20 minutes ago with a few people from our team, and it's that same excitement virtually. Like it's just...
Have you got to that piece yet about how we work remotely? So I wrote a piece about the tools and techniques of how we make it work.
I haven't read it yet.
No, it's okay, it's fine. So I wrote one over Christmas and ready for Abbey to review. We'll come on to editing in a minute. I think people make the mistake of going, we're an office-based business that now has to be remote. How do we do the same things we did in the office remotely? Whereas we never had that. Yeah. We've built everything as a remote-first team. And I think it'd be a bit like a field hockey team putting on ice skates and thinking they can play in the exact same way. It's not the same sport. It's not the same game. Do you like how I got the ice hockey reference in? That's excellent, thank you.
I thought you made a mistake and said field hockey, and I was like, okay.
No, I know.
No, I know.
Wheelhouse. It is just different. I think, and when you say about getting together as a team, it doesn't matter which members of the team are there. You know, if 4, 5, 6 people, I've worked in corporates before where you walk into a room and there's one spot on the table, you think, oh God, I don't want to sit with those people, or the phone goes, I don't want to take that call. I don't think anyone on the team feels that way.
No.
Because everyone's included in the recruitment. Like, no one's hired.
That's what I love. Yeah. I think, well, sorry, not to interrupt you.
No, you go. You can be more interested than me anyway. Go on.
We were talking about yesterday, Penny and I were talking about her drive to Doorback. And it was like 9 hours or something. And I was sitting there thinking, I don't know, there's not somebody in the team that I like wouldn't want to do like a road trip with. And I know that that's part of our recruitment. I mean, no.
Were you going to say Dan?
No.
You were, weren't you?
But it's fine. Dan and somebody else I would be all right with.
That makes me incredibly happy.
No,
Right, so-
I do love Dan. I think it again, I keep saying it, but it comes back to that passion, and we're all like so driven to the mission, and we're all just like really nice people. And yeah, we just get along.
That's why
with
at
each other.
recruitment, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And that hell yes is this and when you were describing the people earlier, in my head, I was running through and I was like, everyone's so different in terms of backgrounds and approaches and specialisms, and other than visibly, like we don't have ethnic diversity through the team. We were talking about this morning. So we look similar in that regard. But in terms of learnt experience, parts of the world we've been from, upbringing, specialisms, education, we've got PhDs to people that never stepped foot in a uni. We've got a whole spectrum of lived experiences, but with the same level of passion and kindness and care.
Yeah.
And no one's trying to push anyone else back to get ahead.
That's what it is. It's that kindness and that like we're just excited for each other. And I just love that because it just makes.
Have you, since being with us, have you ever been in anyone else's team meeting or group meeting?
Like another company?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
So occasionally I get asked to go speak at one or something, and they're silent.
Yeah.
So our team meetings, every achievement's clapped, right?
Yeah.
And if someone says to me, it's a round of applause. So in our morning team meeting on a Monday, there's 10 rounds of applause, maybe more.
Yeah.
And it's really weird going back to a normal meeting where people aren't celebrated and applauded.
Yeah.
And I just think that recognition, that thanks, that appreciation. What I loved when we had everyone in the room here at Q0, it was put your hands up if you've given or received a gift or a thank you for achieving something amazing, and everyone's hand was up.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that comes back to, like, we framed the Q0 around unreasonable hospitality, the book, shout out to Will Gadera. And it's that taking, it's not just the pleasure in receiving the gift, it's giving it, which is really special in the team as well.
Yeah. And I think part of that as well is even saying thank you is meaningful. Like people don't expect like a gift when they do something.
Yeah, you don't get a gift for doing the weekly update.
No.
You get a gift for doing something incredible or special.
But like even just a thank you is so meaningful, and it's so appreciated in our team. And I think that level of, again, kindness is just really special, and you don't get that everywhere.
Yeah, there's no entitlement or resentment. If someone achieves, so really great example of this is James is really great on PowerPoint and producing presentations. Tom did an amazing presentation. James rocked up and went, "Can you teach me how you did that bit?"
Yeah.
Like, high five, Tom, great job. Can you teach me how you can do that so you can elevate? And he's going to, because we're trying to elevate everybody, which I just adore. Every business should be, whether it knows it or not, a recruitment business and a marketing business.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing those two things, and I think there's everybody in their specialism is incredibly special at what they do. That's excellent language, Rich. Incredibly special, being special. They're spectacular. Collectively, our ability to attract talent and recruit is completely different because everyone is a showcase.
Yeah.
Role modeling, celebrating, featuring everything we do. And I love that we've started to even feature like specific quotes from everyone in the team. So like with our CFO recruitment, it's each of the excos saying, how am I going to help this person or what's coming in? And it's using all of our networks and ability to recruit in that side.
I do love that about recruitment because we were
and you do a lot of that. You're in, because of your sort of environment and psychology background, we include you a lot in the sort of first phase recruitment with Andrew.
Yeah, I think Andrew and I have this fun dynamic now where, well, I think working on recruitment has been one of the most impactful things for me. I think joining OC in terms of my learning and development, and working with Andrew has been a big part of that because it's like a little thing, but we'll do an intern interview or an interview with whoever it is, and then we'll have a call together afterwards, and Andrew will let me speak first and go through all my notes, and then even though he would have all the answers probably even quicker than
I think he'd say he wouldn't have all of them, not all the same ones.
I just mean, I think that opportunity that was given to me to do that, and that was such a quick learning for me. I think it was such an immediate feedback. Okay, he caught something that I didn't, and he saw this and he wrote this down. And I just think that was so impactful for me. So I loved that. And I love that everybody gets involved in recruitment. And I think that comes back to our culture, because everybody wants our team to be as strong as it can be. And you have to do recruitment the right way to get a team like that.
The people who just have one HR person interview everyone, what a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
Both of someone else learning, both of someone else selling the culture, and not selling in the sense of, well, both advertising. So you'll have had it when, in fact, you had it when you interviewed Penny. You go from listening to selling.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, no, I don't want to listen to you. I want to tell you how great it is because we really want you. Like Penny was on the list of, short list of people. You and Andrew came out the first interview and went, it's over. It's done. She has to get here. And
that's been a learning for me as well, because I think I like to give everybody an opportunity, and I try to see I'm quite optimistic, I think. And so I look at a CV and I'm like, oh, they've got something really cool. I want to give them an interview because, they really want it, even though it's not a hell yes in the moment. And then when I have those moments of like Penny's interview or Louise's interview, it's like, oh my gosh, that's what it is.
I think until you have one, you don't know what one is.
Yeah.
Until you have a hell yes at an interview, okay, so can you imagine what Chris Winter's interview was like?
I can't imagine. I cannot.
So 3 hours of Chris and I at pace talking in half sentences about contextual economics with each other.
That's crazy.
And this was when really early, before we had Andrew and the old head of HR at Auction House. She kind of came out in the meeting room looking like she'd been on a roller coaster and went, I have no idea. Yeah. And when you get that feeling, and Andrew, it's different. So in interviews, I fall in love fast, and it's how long they can maintain. It's like a 100-meter sprint. You get up to speed. Can you keep it forever? Whereas Andrew slowly built, that's a point. That's a point. It doesn't literally points, but it's like building the confidence.
Yeah.
Whereas my sort of curve works the other way. And I think you have to have done, you think you've done 100 now?
100 interviews. Yeah. I don't know if it's been 100 interviews. I've looked at hundreds of CVs.
Yeah. It's a lot of interviews, isn't it?
A lot of interviews. Maybe 50?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you need to do enough to A, get that feeling, and B, have that range of experiences, and then you can start being like, I just know.
Yeah. It's different as well. So when we were recruiting for head of ecotourism, I was in an initial interview for that. And I said to Andrew, I was like, why am I in this interview? I don't know anything about all this experience that they're talking about. When he asks me a question, I feel like I can't answer it. But it goes back to like that culture thing, and it is about the person. It's not always about the qualifications. And so that's been such an incredible learning.
That's where I have all the layers of the process as well. So someone will have looked at the qualifications and experience, and Andrew will have considered the CV. And there's that first screening phase with the video call, but then they'll meet more people in a panel interview and get a whole range of, so they've met people at different levels of the organization and across the spectrum of roles and responsibilities.
Yeah.
So one of your responsibilities and roles is as the editor-in-chief of literally everything I write.
Yes.
How often have you gone, this is completely incoherent, or, oh my God, he cannot write that?
Incoherent more often than you can't write that. But not incoherent in that you're not making sense. I think it's when you get really excited about something, you
miss words.
Yes, you miss words because you're so excited and your brain is moving so fast that your fingers can't keep up. And so it's like a little game. I have to try and figure out what it is you're trying to say.
Can you quite quickly tell, okay, it's going to be one like this?
Well, I think one, you usually call me when you're really excited about one.
Yeah.
And two, I think in the first couple sentences, I'm like, okay, this is one that he's written very quickly in the back of a car or something. He's really excited about something. And I love those ones because I just think, I think it's really, I get a window into how your brain works when I read them, especially when it's the first draft of something. And I love that you use writing as a way to kind of formulate your thoughts and how you feel about something. And so I just love I love that.
I'm humbled and super, super happy and pleased you enjoy it. It feels really selfish that I have you able to do that and wanting to do it. Because so I can produce that, but the finessing and the technical, you're far better technically at writing than I am. But you allow me to be creative with it because I can produce something that you can then shape and make sure it is coherent, and we can run it past George and he lets us release some stuff.
Yeah, it does come down to George most of the time.
Yeah. How many do you reckon he said no to?
I think
5?
Yeah, I was gonna say probably one hand.
Yeah. There was one yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's pretty rare when he says like absolutely no. But I think there's maybe sometimes where he says, okay, maybe we just reword this or take this bit out.
I find it, sometimes I write ones just because I think you're going to really like them, like the Rivers one.
Yeah.
So
I loved that one.
You like it when I go more emotional and poetic and overwrite. I view it as me overwriting, but I think you prefer that a little bit more. Whereas I think I kind of, my natural sort of disposition when I write is the performance, sport, speed type approach. So blending it's interesting.
I think it's nice that you have both of those because I think there's a time and a place for the technical stuff. And I think that that's so important for everything that we're trying to do as a brand and building the sector. But the emotional stuff brings it back to who we are as people. And so I think the way that you have balanced your articles, I think is really beautiful.
You're very kind. It's a good job you don't hate them, otherwise it'd be a hell of a part of the job. Wouldn't
Yeah.
everyone you're like, Jesus, Richard.
Yeah, another one.
I think it's the range is interesting thinking about it because the sports side of stuff, the performance culture stuff, leadership pieces and how to deal with that things, the pure environmental stuff, the business stuff, the conceptual stuff. Have we released the Polluter Pays the Protected Profits yet? So we've got a couple of pieces that we wrote a few months ago that really explored the boundaries of what B&G could be like in future. And I was unsure about that. I was kind of like, it was definitely a way of exploring for me. But Chris and Esme were all over it and loved it, right?
I loved them because I think people have been talking about B&G and we've been talking about B&G. But I think when you've written these pieces about what the implications of B&G could be, and not even just B&G, but just like the sector as a whole, I think it's so it brings it back to hope, and we're on the right track. We're doing something. B&G is a good thing, and we are excited for the next step and what that might look like. And it might look like this, but I think it's just exciting. I do like those.
You mentioned about how it helps me think. So how do thoughts move through your mind?
Straight line.
Literally.
Elle and I have talked about this at length.
Yeah, that's my fault. Okay.
Because I think, which I think it makes it so that Elle and I work really well together because her brain is the opposite of mine. And I try to bring it to a straight line, but then she also tries to get me to not think in a straight line. And so I think
so
that's good.
Straight line like a tube train map or?
Yeah.
Okay. So mine is the firework display that goes off on, just as you say about missing the words because it's jumping all over the place. And that is what I use the writing for, to make me focus on a topic and a subject and really deep dive it and not allow me to, yes, I can work at the edges, but I can't go off completely in different tangent or direction. And also it helps me process the emotions of it. So if we've had a really difficult conversation with a local community or somebody, or if we're dealing with a really complex HR or people issue or a legal issue, by the time I've written about it and considered why I feel that way, I've gone through those emotional loops and processes and feel 10 times better about it. And I'm like, okay, what is the gift this situation can give me? However bad, challenging, difficult, indifferent, whatever it is, what is the thing that it can give me and who can I give it to? How can I turn every challenge into an opportunity to learn something or gift something else? And that's been a sort of evolving process. So we're in the stages of sorting literally the intro and conclusion to our first book, right?
Your first book.
Team effort, but thank you, appreciate you. And that's why this conversation is useful, because it's why is there even a book in the first place? And it's all those reasons, right? It's raising the sector, it's amplifying things, it's my process and learning, and
I think that's very true. And I think another point for the book is that we have so much content on the website and on LinkedIn and through the podcast. I think the book is a tool that's, here are the chapters of OC. If you want to learn about how we're restoring landscapes, it's chapter 1. If you want to learn about how to build a high performance team that's in the environment sector, that's chapter 5. And it breaks it up into manageable chunks of the story of OC that is just incredible. It is, and I honestly, I love it so much because it is just your story of how you've done this and how you've built it. So
It's a we, not a me.
well, I wasn't here for the first year, and so
No, that was me and Dan just telling me off about stuff.
yeah. But
Again.
I think that it's just it's a tool that, regardless of who it is, whether it's, you know, the finance audience that we're hoping pick up the book, or if it's the interns that are wanting to get into the sector, or even just like somebody working at a wildlife trust, like there's something for everybody. And I think even globally, like we know that young people are starting to care more about the environment, and so there is something for everyone, and it can resonate with so many people because so many people care about doing the right thing for the planet now. Yeah.
When I said, did we start editing articles, or did I tell you it was going to be a book first? Do you remember?
Articles for the book.
Yeah, when I just started writing, did I tell you it was going to be a book, or did we just start doing articles?
Well, you were releasing articles when I started as an intern, not as often or as frequent.
I had no help.
But it was last year, I think, we first started talking about the book, like it being a book.
When I said this could be, but what was your initial thoughts?
I thought, yeah, I was really excited about it. And then you told me that I had to do it. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. So,
I mean, that's not rare here, is it?
no,
That's kind of a...
that's a day in the life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, I just thought it was such a great idea. And then it was about overcoming the challenge of what does it mean to publish a book. So we looked into self-publishing and figured out that that wasn't quite...
Because we were going to ebook it on the website, right? We were like, we just want to get this out there, and because we were moving on to write number 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And then huge shout out to Bevis, Simon, Laura, and the whole team at Triodos, and the team on the marketing side you've been working with, who are very kindly going to support us in publishing it. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Which is because that'll help us get to a wider audience,
Yeah.
spread the message, hopefully share more routes into the sector for people.
Yeah, because we had that conversation of, is it just on the website? Do we self-publish? Because you can do that pretty easily. But it was, you know, should we take the time and find a partner that, you know, makes sense? And Triodos, obviously, it makes so much sense. And we were talking with the marketing team on how do we position that partnership. And we came to the line of made possible by Triodos because of the relationship we've had with them in the past with B&H and Invergeldy. Like, they are part of our story, and in a large part, like a lot of what we've done is made possible by them, and this book is as well. And
one of our lines is making a market.
Yeah.
We did the deal with them in terms of debt funding to prove that others could make the market. And since then, they've done specific deals on B&G as well, and other things have flowed from that, which was the exact intent of coming up with a marketable product.
Yeah.
So number 1 will come out and by the middle of 25.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
When does number 2 come out?
A year after?
A year after?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's written.
Yes.
Which is the slight difficulty with me because I'm already thinking
about book 3 now, and
yeah.
let's just get the first one
Yeah.
out the door.
And then you're gonna have to figure out getting 2 published as well.
Yeah, which is very exciting.
Yeah. We're gonna do an audio version of the first book.
I think that would be really cool, and because a lot of people love listening to the podcast and love listening to it when they're driving.
Which is remarkable when you consider how terrible my accent is. So it's very positive, and from northeast, not northwest. There's me, thank you. Do we get different members of the team to read chapters?
I was thinking about this, and I think, you know, there's certain members of the team that have been really important in different articles or different pieces. So like Fee was really, you know, important in the property focused or the ecotourism focused articles, and
Andrew on the people side.
Andrew on the people side, and George on a lot of them. And so I think
there isn't a fish themed article, is there?
No. I don't know if he'd want to do it anyway.
No,
Yeah.
probably not. Are you going to read one of them?
I don't know which one would be most appropriate for me to read, but
You can pick.
yeah, I'll have first pick. But
Nice.
yeah, I think that would be really nice. But the cool thing about the book is that a lot of it is what you've written the last 3 or 4 years, and but you've gone back through and looked at them again and reflected.
Oh yes, that was a fascinating. So yeah, structured in short, snappy articles and reflections of different times, dated when they were published, and then we've looped back through and gone, well, how has our thoughts on that changed? That was a heck of an experience doing that, because there'd be things like deer management where I thought one thing,
Yeah.
learned a lot, and then reflected back on the article and realized I was back where I'd started.
Yeah.
And I genuinely thought my opinion would be so much different on things because I've learned more and been through loops and changed opinions and things. So yeah, and then just being honest about opinions changed there or hasn't, or what's the new information we had and where we were naive about stuff and where. So that was quite a journey. I would encourage everyone to do that. If you've got, and that's the beauty of writing, that you can go back to what you thought at a time and a place and reflect on it, because otherwise our memories just wander and fill in gaps for us and things.
Yeah, but back to the reflections, I think that it's important for you to read, if we do an audiobook, the reflections, just because I think that that's such a personal thing, and they are your reflections on where you were at that moment.
Yeah, who knows where I am now?
Well, maybe the reflections will change before we get them published.
Maybe. Have your views on, from where you started with OC and the sort of content of articles to where we are now in terms of the openness, how bold we are on things, has your sort of comfort level with those things changed over that time?
With the transparency, maybe? No, I don't think so. I think...
I'm thinking about like Fee, for example. So when Fee saw anything we wrote when she first arrived from a FTSE listed 250 company, she's like, you can't possibly say that. We can't. And he was like, well, we're going to.
Yeah, I think I was quite naive, and I just loved the honesty, and I was like, yep, throw it out there. Who cares if people get upset? So I think the learning has been more about how and when do we say things. And I think that comes from not really working in marketing before I started. And Elle's been a great teacher in that. And how do we position different things and different opinions in a way that makes the most sense?
That's a really interesting point. So when people see our stuff, the order of an article, a trailer, a podcast, a teaser, it's not accident. There's a sequence months ahead in terms of, so we're recording things now that are going to align up with a recruitment campaign and a person. So it's how do we specifically align to maximize the amplification of things? And collectively, you as a marketing team have gone from my LinkedIn profile having very little traffic to, best part of 750,000 interactions this year to, Penny's video announcement at Doorback broke our records for like 50,000 people seeing that. And that feeds all its way back to recruitment again. But 500,000 people saw our jobs last year, which we're still a relatively young company with 25 to 30 people in it to have that organic reach. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. One of my favorite Fee stories in an article is I had a note in there to write the No Farmers, No Food article in my diary. And she rang me going, please don't write that article. Please don't write that article. And for those of you out there who haven't read it, it is saying absolutely if there were no farmers, there's no food. But no one's saying there should be no farmers. But if there are no bees, there's no food. And if there's no water, there's no food. And if there's no climate, there's no food. And if there's no people, there's no food. So let's recognize the challenges around the food system, but also it's a bigger issue of no soil, no food, no sunlight. We have to view everything in the holistic nature, not a singular political issue. And I remember sending that late one night as we were traveling somewhere to Fee, and she just wrote back, I didn't think I would, but I love it.
It's so good. And I think obviously you can judge a lot from a title. But that article and many other articles, it is really your take on something, and it's honest, and it is holistic, and it's really, I just think it's quite positive to examine those aspects of what we do, especially through writing.
Thank you for helping me do it.
That's okay.
What is the one question I haven't asked you wish I had?
I think, okay, what's my favorite part of the book? And I think I was looking at it today because it is one of the first articles or pieces in the book. It's the contradictions and compromises piece. And I think that is, you wrote that, 2023, I think. And it's so illustrative of even today. We live in this world of gray. It's not black and white. And I think when I first joined, I kind of expected things to be black and white. Like, we're just trying to do the right thing for the environment. And like, surely that's black and white, but it's not. And so I love that's something that we always come back to as a company. So I think that's my favorite one.
Thank you. There's no one in the company who's as universally adored as you. We're so
Don't know if that's
I do. Everyone loves working with you. You elevate everyone and help in just beyond imaginable. Abbey, thank you for being here. You're an absolute star.
Thanks for letting me come back to the UK.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.